500! Number 500!
Number 500!
Number 500!
As soon as I touched home plate, it was like it's straight to the bathroom.
Welcome to the 500 Club!
I blew a gasket, went Undertaker on Rice.
Number 500!
For once in your life, I will say, Ken, you were right.
Baseball history! Newest member of the 500 Club!
A substance that was tacky versus tacky.
Number 500! Number 500!
Nobody is outbidding Steve Cohen.
Welcome to the 500 Club!
My one goal was to see Lions have sex, and it happened. It was great.
You can put it on the board! Yes!
Woo! 500, baby! Congratulations, FT fam. That was a great freaking video. What a great start to our Friday. And congratulations to everyone that works here as part of our 500th episode. We're not even 2 years in, and we're at 500. Why, Kratz? Because we're
Grinders, baby!
Let's go. Nice cameo there from Todd Father. Actually, I like the part where you're like, no one's getting outbid. Steve Cohen's not getting outbid. And you're like, yeah,
that's
so
a
does
lot.
one of the Mets. Yep.
That's a
Nobody. This is awesome. 500, man. Welcome to the club. Kratzy, trying to think of what 500 for you. I mean, you probably hit the 500 donut mark at the age of 12. But other than that, man, yeah, this is really solid. Solid take. Everybody, from nobody you see to everybody on the show, appreciate you.
Yeah.
I feel like we got to have some type of race to 500. Like, I feel like Todd and I, we could have a race to 500 miles. Like, who can get to 500 miles? Walking, riding, bike, not driving. Something.
Yep.
I'd probably win.
500 M&Ms.
And then I would eat my 500 donuts.
Oof.
This is
Good
what
stuff.
it feels like to hit 500 home runs, right?
Ooh.
I wouldn't know, but yes, it's there.
Yeah, feels the same. So anyway, we appreciate everyone wherever you're watching, TV, YouTube, Twitter, other social platforms, whatever it is. If you want to send us a nice little note, we'd appreciate that. Really, all we ask too is that you subscribe and follow us everywhere. We're not asking for anything else. We're not charging you anything. So if you can do that for us, maybe write a little review or a nice comment on some of those pages. Like if you listen to us on the road in your car, which many do, and some send us really cool notes that way. If you're listening on a podcast platform later on, that's it. You know, we're pretty easy. So let's do what we do best. Let's charge. So since yesterday's show, we learned more details about the impasse between the Mets and Pete Alonso that has turned into what looks like a divorce. Joel Sherman reporting on the money. Last-ditch offer from the Mets looked like around 3 years, 68 to 3 years, 70 mil. In that range with opt-outs, they pointed to similarities, yet better numbers in terms of money compared to Christian Walker's 3-year, $60 million deal. Walker's going to be 34 this season while Pete is 30. They're very different players, but the Mets were like, yo, Todd Father, they said to Pete, your offer to us, not comfortable with it, not in our range, don't feel like we have competition that's going to beat what you're talking about and what we're sending. So we need an answer, or we're going to sign Jesse Winker. We're going to go after Tanner Scott and other relievers and spend money elsewhere. And we'll do what Scott Braun's been saying for a year, move Mark Vientos from third base to first base. So your thoughts on where we're at here, because it looks like Pete's going to Toronto, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm not happy with it. I'll be honest with you. And again, I have nothing to do with it, but the way this is all unfolding, and like I said before, I've said to you guys before, I don't think this is a done deal. I think people are playing hard to get, if you want the truth. I don't think it's divorce. If we're talking about relationship ways, I think it's still, one side's playing hard to get than the other. I think the Mets still want him. I think it would be sad if he's not a Met. I know he definitely wants to go back. It's one of those things where one thing we do know, Scott and Erik, and I think you agree with me on this, he's not getting the money that he wants. That's one thing that might be definite. And now thinking about that, if there is another team like Toronto, they're not going to, maybe if it's around the $70 million range, maybe they go 80. I mean, it's not that big of a jump. So it's like, is the opt-outs that important? Yeah, it might be. Is money important? It always is. But to hear this, this is something that, can turn somebody off as a fan. You think about a Steve Cohen, that guy that does anything to get his ball players. So what's the main thing holding back? If it is the opt-outs, then, we have a problem. But other than that, I don't think this is done deal, And what we're hearing, these are reliable sources. Don't get me wrong. They're writing the thing. But at the same time, in the back of most people's minds, in a GM or a president or an agent, I think they're still going to have ongoing dialogue. And say the Rangers, the Blue Jays, they do go back to, and they're like, all right, boom. They're definitely going to go back to the Mets and be like, hey, last chance, or let's talk something out. So I don't think it's fully done. I think this is a sad way of where it's going about it. If I was a Mets fan, I'd be a little upset.
I mean, it slides in perfectly for the Jays to be like, hey, we'll give you 4 years, 85 to 88, and you're getting that 22 a year that I think is what the Mets' original offer was, but you're getting it for another year, and they probably cooked in some type of opt-out. We're doing a lot of probably maybes. But the other thing that I think the Mets have to understand here, yes, Scott Braun's idea of moving Vientos to first base. Now you have a guy that's never played first base. While people say it's super easy, you see how hard Pete has worked at it and the level that his defense has improved to. You're just going to automatically go ahead and say, all right, that's fine. Like, we'll just put somebody new there. And also, if you're comparing him to Christian Walker, age, gold gloves, production, all that aside, you don't have Christian Walker. He's not on your team. It's not like you can say, well, Christian Walker didn't get that much, so we don't want to give you that much. You don't have him on the team. You have an opportunity to sign a guy for whatever Pete offered for his 3 years is what he wanted. Obviously, they're at an impasse and they're not agreeing, but you can have him, and he's a dude that's hit 50 homers in seasons. Like, he's not potential 50 homers. He can, and he has, and he probably will hit 50 homers again.
Yeah, but they've set their mark, right? They put their stake in the ground and said, this is where they're going. Fans still criminally underrate Vientos too, according to Mike, and DDT saying Vientos played first. I agree. Guys, I'm going to disagree on the Vientos side. I think he's a good fielder. I think he's a better fit at first base, and that's why they've been looking at that with Brett Beatty, Ronnie Mauricio, and Luis Angel Acuna all bidding for time at third base. Those are 3 nice young players. Yo, I'm with you guys. I love Pete to death. I think he's perfect in New York. I think they're better with him. But they've set their ground. And David Stearns operates very differently, Todd Father. I do disagree with both of you on what the offer could look like for Toronto, because Pete got the offer 7 years, $158 for the extension in June of 23. That was including last year where he got $20.5 million. So he's looking to beat 6 years or match 6 years, about $138 million. And I do think that the Blue Jays will get him a 100 number. You guys are saying like 4 years, 80, no freaking way. I think he's going to get like potentially 5 years, 110, something like that from the Blue Jays, and feel like he got pretty close to that offer from the Mets a year and a half ago.
And I wanted to go back with what you said about Vientos. Listen, this is his first year, dog. Last year was his first big year. I want to see a couple years of him dominating. Everybody thinks he's the all be all end all kind of guy. Listen, I hope so. And I think he can be, and I think he has a chance to. This 1 year he came out and dominated. I love that. And I'm not saying he's not going to, but I want to see this at a consistent level. This is your big year number 2 coming up. And we all know what that black book says once you get your name in there as well. But again, he could be a good fit over there. I did the same thing. I played third when Scott Rowland got hurt. Then I was going to get moved down. Then Votto got hurt. I played first base. It's a hard position. Even if you come up as a first baseman, you still don't master it. I think of some good ones. Like Anthony Rizzo was really good at it. There's been some really good first basemen, but positioning-wise, there's a lot of things that go into it. You're in every single play. Third base, you just got to wait for that ball to come. First base, you're waiting for the ball to come. You got to be in the right position. You got to be in the spot to get to first base on time. what kind of runner's running? Do I need to shift over because he's faster? Do I need to play on the line? All these different things. You got a bigger glove. Playing with a bigger glove, there's a lot of integral parts in the game. Some people don't like playing with a bigger glove. So, again, at the end of the day, and I'll leave it at this, Viento's a really good ball player, but I want to see it for a couple of years.
Yeah, and I sit there and I go, are the Mets going to be able to replace? I think Andrew F. brought that up in the chat. He said, are the Mets going to be able to replace 30 to 40 homers? That's tough. Mark Vientos was on the team last year and had 27. It's not like Mark Vientos is going to be like, I'll take the 35 plus my 27 from last year, and I'll give you a little 62 for you guys this year. You know, it's going to be tough to replace that, especially at the price that they should be able to pay Pete. If Pete came to them with a 3-year deal, I'm worried about their offense. It's still really good offense, but to me, I had it penned in. I didn't even have it penciled in. And I don't disagree with your contract, Scotty, if this was November 22nd. But now we're in January. It may be less. It may not get the $100 million, which would so surprise me if Pete doesn't get to $100 million.
Scotty,
Okay, we'll see.
Let me interrupt you real quick. Are they a World Series championship caliber team without Pete Alonso?
Yes, they could be.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And I'm not arguing. I just wanted to hear.
Another move?
Yeah, they're going to do more. They need more bullpen.
I'm talking right now.
Right now, I think they need a big reliever. I think their bullpen was really short in the playoffs last year. I'm with you guys. I'm on Pete. I mean, they think that Mark Vientos is him. They think he's the next guy. So they're going to put him at first and see what happens. They do have really good position player prospects. Maybe I'm more into prospects than you guys are, but I'm just presenting what the team is offering right now. They're saying, hey, we feel like we've got it. So we'll see. All right, let's step aside because we're going to do a lot more on this topic on the Blue Jays side to see if they can get themselves a little Pete Santander and Roki Sasaki. We're going to talk to former Blue Jay Danny Jansen coming up next. Good combo, boys. Hey, YouTube crowd. Yeah, just a little extra shout out to you guys. We love you guys a lot. So thanks for following the show. If you've been with us for 2 years or if you've been with us for 2 minutes, we love you equally. We see as many comments as possible. I think we do a pretty good job of incorporating the chat. I mean, tear shed for me just now when Kratz is talking about Andrew F., mixing in something that he saw in the chat while he was giving his analysis. We've come a long way. And if you watch a TV show, tell me how many people do that. If you watch a TV show or even just listen to another show or podcast, how many people just like eloquently blend in a comment from a fan as they're talking? I'm proud of that.
And Andy M wrote exactly 500 FT. And Derek in our chat said, and you look at him like 500-foot homer. Could one of us hosts hit a 500-foot metal bat home run? I'm talking like Red Bull commercial, like metal bat that's like super juiced. Could we hit a 500-foot homer?
Oh, man, right now?
Yeah, right now. We're not going back in time, kid.
Oh, man, you give me a juice bat, I still think I got a little in the tank. I mean, ooh, Daddy.
I feel like
give me the right wind. I think I got it.
Yeah. Like I feel like it's there. Might have an oblique issue, but hey, we can sit and talk with obliques. Tell me about it. Intercostal.
I still think right now at 38, I'll be 39 in less than a month. So let's just say 39. I still think I can hit one 425.
With a wood bat or with metal?
I think with a 400. Excuse me, I'm talking out of turn.
Okay.
I still think I can go dead center for sure.
So we need metal, juiced metal, artificial wind, and a few other things, and then we can get ourselves to 500.
Yeah,
I know you
it's that'll be tough.
Because you had more power than me. I did it with Wood last year, and I was 43 last year, so 44 last year. Forget my age.
Oh,
You got to
you went
400?
you went dead central.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
All right,
And we
good.
need someone
Well, I
throwing a
still got bunch of
hundo.
games left.
We need it coming in a hundo
No.
down the pipe. Yes.
No, I won't hit
we
it.
need,
I won't
we
be
need
able to
that
hit
to
that.
turn it around. Hey, we've got Danny Jansen, new race catcher, joining us right now on FT for the first time. Danny, great to have you on the show, man. Congrats on the deal in the offseason. Kratz, why are you shaking your head?
Because I can't believe it's the first time that we've seen that ugly, handsome face with a with a hammer in on the show.
No hammer in.
I FaceTimed
No
him.
hammer.
I FaceTimed him. Adam Jones talked about him. Rowdy talked about him. He's one of our catcher brethren, and he's just too busy doing scouting reports, getting his body right.
Bro, we got to check that. We got to check the receipts because I think about a year or two ago, maybe a year ago, we were talking about it. We talked about it, and then there was crickets out of you.
You
on.
didn't respond. Oh, I'm pulling it up.
Kratzy.
Don't tell me about it. I'm
Kratzy,
checking receipts now, okay?
You look it up. I want to talk about the background here. Where are you? You got Christmas lights still up? Talk to me a little bit. What do you got going on there?
Yeah, I'm in Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
I'm in my house in the basement. Usually all the Christmas stuff day after Christmas is gone, so I got the lights still down here a little bit though. We got one thing Christmas going on. I think it's a little too late still, but I kind of like it.
No. In the basement, you could do whatever the heck you want. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Basement's my area. Yeah.
Okay.
No doubt.
I like that. Before anybody gets to their questions, we're going to check receipts, okay? On March 15th, okay? I said, you had a broken bone. He said, I was like, wow, you're back in 2 weeks. You said, I'm a damn savage. And I said, Superman. And then we went, April 15th, happy birthday, crickets. You want to come on the show? April 24th, crickets. July 28th, crickets. December 6th, crickets. January 6th, we finally get a response. I guess you were really feeling it. You got your first paycheck from the Rays, and you're like, wow, now I'm going to respond to that.
It must have been on the phone. All right, it must have been on the phone.
It's good. Hey, congrats, though. Seriously, congrats on staying in the American League East. Nobody else really wants you. You do know that there's like other leagues, right? There's other divisions.
I know. Steve Pierce texted me. He's like, "Are you trying to follow me around, or what? Trying to do the same thing?" I guess I'm just like, "Oh, this guy."
You cannot catch that man. That man was he was an AL East, just used up by the AL East. But what is that process like for you when you're going into free agency? Up and down, little injuries, you coming back, you play through it. Incredible years, some down years. Did you feel like you were going to get more? Did you feel like what you got was something that would put you on a platform? What's your thought process going into it? And what's your thought process now is you're just a few weeks away from heading to Port Charlotte.
Yeah. It was a really cool process. For me and my family, we, obviously had some meetings early in the off season, and then we're talking to some teams, but it's cool. It's cool to be able to kind of choose. And, I kind of really just didn't want to have all that much expectation. I just wanted to be there and enjoy the ride and see, what kind of offers. And, the Rays, they were awesome. They came out to see us, had some breakfast, and it made us feel, made me feel really wanted. And, I think at bats are, a big thing for me. And they were, they're saying that going to get some at bats, a lot of them. So, it was a cool process. I'm definitely grateful to be in the situation that I'm in and excited to, join the Rays and meet my new teammates.
Danny, you've had a great career so far from 2021 to 2023, an OPS over 800. I know you consider your offensive season last year a down year. Is that why I don't remember if it was you or reports, turned down multi-year offers from other places? Take us through that process where you're like, hey, I'm still young, age 30 season coming up. I want to do this year, do it big, and then you can hit the market again and get longer term.
Yeah. It's definitely, having at bats and having a team that, is willing to give me at bats. I think it's big. I would say last year was a down year for sure. I know that there's so much more in the tank for me. And, I stayed healthy, which is a huge thing. I've had some injuries here and there, and I wanted to stay healthy, so I did that. But it was a down year, and I know that there's so much more. So, yeah, 1 year offer I felt like was great. I feel like it's a great fit. Playing against Tampa my whole career, and hearing great things about them, and pitching staff, and also just getting with that team, I think it's going to be a great fit. So I'm really excited, and definitely bet on yourself with a 1 year deal for sure. But I know that there's more in there. I'm just excited to get to work.
I want to go back to a point you made, and then I'll ask the question that people don't understand. People come out to you to, try and get you to come to the team. I think that's fascinating. I wish more GMs and teams would do that, because that's really unheard of, unless it's like, Roki Sasaki or, Shohei Ohtani. Though I'm just saying, like, that needs to happen more often. If you're interested, come on out, man. Let's have dinner. Let's talk it over. It works out. It works out. Long story short. But my next question to you would be, did you take into consideration anything about playing at Steinbrenner Field this year? You'll be playing at a minor league park. What do you think about that, and what are your feelings towards that?
Yeah, it's definitely, it's going to add a little bit of adversity doubt. And but I've done it before. I did it in Buffalo 1 year, and I just think it just felt like a right fit, just being with that team. Like I said, hearing nothing but great things about the Rays, and playing against them, and it's going to be hot, no doubt. It's going to be hot, but I think that you can rally around that for sure. And I think that we tried to, we did that, and in Buffalo, and I think that that could be an advantage. But so yeah, it's a little adversity, no doubt, but I think you got to go.
Yeah, but what about the
window? And get through that stuff.
You got a window. You're going to have a lot of windows with that rain delay down there.
Yeah, we ain't playing many games in July and August, I think. We're on the road a lot for that with the schedule change.
That's what I was going to ask you. How does that come into play for you and your family, your young family that you have? Like, are they going to, like, people don't understand, like, wives, they plan to come in when you're at home and when you go to Chicago, because they all love shopping. But is there planning with that when you sign with the Rays? Oh, whoa. Now our schedule is, I think you guys have 60 home games in your first 81 games, something like that?
Yeah, we talked about it, no doubt. It was definitely something we discussed. But we used to live in Florida, and I played in the Florida State League, a little bit of 2 years. And just being there, it gets hot. And I know that for them, I mean, I'm very grateful they're able to be with me a lot. And I got 2 children. And I'm able to see them, watch them grow up, and I'm very grateful for that. And for the 2 months that, we're going to be on the road a lot, they're going to be able to go home, and they got family there, and be kind of in some better weather, and bounce around and come to some away games, which we like to do, trying to get all the parks eventually. So yeah, it's going to work out. We talked about it, but it's nothing that, we can't handle.
I want to ask you a question here about the Toronto Blue Jays. I know you played there. You loved it there. It just seems like recently, in the last couple of years, if not a little more, that guys aren't signing there as much. You've had a couple signings, recent. I mean, George Springer, Chapman, to name a few, but seems like you're not getting that big dog, that big name that wants to come over there and take over the city. Can you harp on a little bit why? I mean, is it going to a different country? Is it money? Like, what do you think the main reason is for that?
I don't know. Yeah, that's I guess it's kind of interesting. I guess it's been like that a little bit. I can speak on the time I was there. I enjoyed my time there. Yeah. I know that you're playing, with in another country in front of, a huge fan base, and it is great. It definitely adds some challenges, I'm sure, on that regard of being in another country. But yeah, I mean, for the time I was there, I really enjoyed it. So, not entirely sure the reasoning, but I can just speak on the time that I was there, and it was I enjoyed it.
All right. Well, then speak on this. I want you to compare, because we sit not on both sides of the fence. We say one or the other. Who's a better teammate, Vladdy or Devers?
A better teammate, Vladdy or Devers? Devers was awesome. I can't say anything but great things about him. Vladdy I've known since he was 16, so I'm going to go with Vlad.
That's fair. I like that. What do you think the chances are that he stays in Toronto and they they get an extension, they get this year, or he just goes into free agency and boom, they bring their guy back.
Yeah, I didn't when I was there, I didn't really see much about numbers and all that, but when I left, I heard about it and all that. So, and then I guess recently, I don't have any social media, but I do see like on like Bleacher Report stuff. I guess some headway, or I don't know. I don't really know much about it, but he's awesome, man. He's great. He's so talented. He's the guy you want, at the middle of everything. So, for him, I hope he is happy regardless. Hope he gets, what he deserves, because he's the man.
Of course, we got to correct him though, Kratz. He said that he was seeing reports on I think foul territory, right?
I didn't hear it. I was
he said, I'll tell you, Kratz. He said he caught a couple reports on Bleacher, but I'm like, I think he meant foul territory. Yeah. That's okay.
Here.
That's
Come
okay.
on, man.
We're all friends. We're all friends in the industry. It's fine.
Come on, DJ.
We have a team that aggregates news too, and we actually create news. But what do you think of the Roki Sasaki situation? Have you followed that at all? It's a unique case. It's one similar to Shohei Ohtani because it's not like you're going to have a winning bidder. I mean, you are, but not in the same money way. You can't blow another offer away, right? Like the teams are all going to be within a few $1 million. So have you followed it at all? And do you think that the Jays have a chance? It looks like it's coming down to the Jays versus the team that gets most of the players from Japan these days.
I honestly haven't really been following it, man. I've just been full dad mode, I feel like, for these last couple of weeks. So I can't even speak on like numbers or really seeing much of it. Sometimes stuff pops up on my phone, but I don't see much of it.
Fair.
Now, all right, we talked about all this. I said about how Jonesy was on here talking about. We want to hear your side of the story. Our social team does a really good job of meshing stuff up. So this is who sitting next to young Adam Jones.
Yeah, that's me.
What do you remember from that time? Because Jonesy, don't forget, we keep receipts. And Jonesy said some things about you as a kid.
Oh, I'll tell you, yeah.
What's your side of the story?
I was 9 there, and Adam was 18. My older brother was 17, so they were definitely closer. Dude, I was a 9-year-old that just looked up to him and wanted a bat. I would ask him for a bat basically every day. Definitely annoying, just living in the same house and always asking for a bat. He finally gave me a bat, though, and we were very lucky growing up. We had a batting cage in the backyard, and I remember my brother broke it like one of the first times, and I couldn't be more upset after that happened. So I've been asking this guy for a bat all the time, and he finally gives me one, and then it breaks. But it was cool, man. It was cool. Just like I remember playing like video games with him. Going. We used to always go. I lived like so close to that stadium. We were fortunate to host Timber Rattlers, and we had Adam, and I was 9, and I was just the annoying little brother. I'm sure he'll tell you that too, but. It's so cool that 13 years later, we're playing against each other in the big leagues. It's such a wild story.
That's wild. Do you remember any other dudes, or because they weren't fringe Hall of Famers, you don't remember them?
Yeah, no. We had so many good ones as far as growing up in our house or on that team in general. What are you talking about?
No. Growing up in your house.
Yeah. We had a bunch, man. We had Donnie Langdon was somebody I still keep in contact with. Phil Cullen was one of our first ones. We always, we had some pitchers. We had kind of all different. I think we might even had a catcher one time. But I remember playing with, Austin Bibbins Dirks is another guy that stayed with us. Yeah. And sure enough, I'm in camp with him one day and I'm catching his bullpen. And I remember playing Guitar Hero with him like every morning before school. Awesome. Which is so cool to think about, like, him doing that with me, right? Like I'm a young kid, we were, living in the same house for a summer and all. But he like takes the time out to do that, and now he's in the Blue Jays organization. When I was there last year, we were talking all the time, man. So it's such like a full circle, kind of a wild story. We had a bunch of awesome guys.
That's awesome. All right, now the other story that was told: Rowdy officiated your wedding. Rowdy's a regular on the show here, and I really need to know what your thoughts were about this. But also that hat. I mean, that hat is that is tremendous on Rowdy. Tremendous.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, it's not bad. Rowdy, dude. Rowdy had to Rowdy had to out drip me on my wedding day, right? So, but yeah, he was great. You know what? Like I wanted him to be a part of it, and I remember we were kind of joking around a little bit at first about doing it, and sure enough, my wife and I were like talking, not too long before the wedding. We're like, hey, we got Rowdy doing it, right? And he's like, yeah, I guess so. So I reached out, and he's prepared. He's doing all these things. He went above and beyond, and he delivered, a great speech. I basically don't remember much of it, kind of blacking out during that time, but it was cool. I thought he was going to ask me to return the favor on his wedding, and I was kind of getting nervous because it's a big boy job right there, but he didn't.
I'm sure he can step up and do it. That was awesome. Now, weddings, you have all your teammates. Now, Rowdy texted me today because you were going to be on the show.
I can't wait to see this.
And he said, ask DJ why tux places hate you. Tuxedo places, because all the ways you go to and you get tuxedos. Why do tuxedo places hate you?
Because I got this thing now, I guess it's a party trick, but I try to do the splits, whether it's liquid courage, having some beers in me or whatever. But these, I think I've done it about 4 weddings now. It's just kind of like the people want it, and Rowdy wanted it, so I gave it to him. And it's like a splits, and my pants just rip right down the middle, and I'm basically walking around with a huge rip in my pants. And it's, my wife at first, I'm sure she's embarrassed. But now it's just kind of like, it's almost like I have to do it, especially if the bride and groom wanted it. So yeah, that's my party trick. And I'm pretty sure like there's got to be some tuxedo places that just will not allow me to rent.
You need the cutoff, like the breakaway basketball pants where you just do like the here we go. Yeah. You remember Party Boy in Jackass, the guy that would go up to people and he would just be walking around and then
a thong.
He would rip them off. Yeah.
The thong. Yep.
That's good. All right, I'm gonna get 2 fan questions in here because the YouTube chat is bumping today. So this is a good one from Tim. Isn't Jansen the only player on record to play for 2 opposing teams in one game, though because of the postponed game, blah, 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 midseason trade? So I know you've talked about it before, but for our crowd, is it cool to be part of trivia that I don't think is going to be easy to top from someone else?
Yeah, it's kind of funny, man. When it happened, when I got traded, I think maybe a week or so after, somebody sent me like an article that said I could, make that history game. And it was kind of like, yeah, for sure. Like that's cool. I didn't really think much about like the hype about it. Right. And then as it got closer, they were, I felt like I was the most popular man in the world at one point because there's all different countries for like one day are like talking about it. You know what I mean? It was just like a crazy thing. And I guess, I don't know if my little knowledge of baseball, but I thought maybe it would have happened. I guess I assumed it would have happened before, but yeah, it was wild. It was a really cool experience. It happened fast. I definitely wanted to enjoy it. I had some family there for sure. And it was a doubleheader game, and it was wild. And after, it died down quick, but it was still like the buildup was wild. Like a week, coming up to that game, it was, doing interviews all the time on it. And then it was kind of like, all right, this is a big deal. So it's kind of cool. I had a jersey in the Hall of Fame, I believe, and maybe something else. But so yeah, it was a cool experience.
It was really good for the game too, because even a casual fan or even a non-baseball fan's like, wait, what happened? So it produced a lot of good coverage for the sport, just easy, good PR. So yeah, thanks for doing that, man. Or actually just all you have to do, obviously, it's not up to you, but I'm saying providing the access. Well, I mean, providing the access. Some guys, shy up to things and that's an easy one to embrace. So I was like, good for you. Talk it up. That's cool. All right, I got one more for you. Yeah, Johnny said, how much will the wind dynamics be a factor at Steinbrenner Field for 81 home games? No upper deck makes the difference.
Yeah, I might have to try to go to right field actually with a little bit shorter porch. Huh? But yeah, it's definitely gonna be different. Obviously been in the Trop for a long time, and it's 72 and the same in there all the time. So. It's just going to be, I guess like any other place though, it's going to have its days, I'm sure. And, it's going to be warm. It's going to be all right. I don't know exactly the field dimensions. I know right field is going to be shorter because it's like Yankee Stadium, And left field, I don't know what it compares to, or center, but we'll figure it out as we go.
Might have to have like an accidental pants rip again just to get some ventilation, because I'm in Orlando. It's damn hot outside at times in June, July, August. So if that happens, it happens. But yeah, you know what to do. But
Yeah.
hey, Danny, thanks for joining us here for the first time. Appreciate it. Make sure you give Kratz as much crap as possible. And we'll catch you in spring training, actually. We should be down there at some point. Yes. Yeah, text Kratz that you love him.
I will. Thanks, guys. I enjoyed it. That was fun.
Appreciate you. You were great. Thanks, Danny. Danny Jansen with us. New Rays catcher. I know I saw more questions. We just didn't have time. And some of them were in the same category, so I'll make Kratz answer them since they were catcher questions. One asked, best pitcher you ever caught, and one asked, most difficult pitcher ever caught. So, Kratz, do you have answers for those?
Jose Alvarado in 2019. I called 4 fastballs, and he threw me one that cut, one that rode, one that sank, and then one that was like a splitter. And every one of them was at 99 miles an hour. Not one was a strike. I couldn't wait fast enough. It couldn't have come fast enough to have Kevin Cash come out of the dugout and get him out of the game. That was the toughest single outing. He wasn't that bad other times, but the best pitcher, it's between 2 seasons. It's either Wade Davis in 2014. I've never caught somebody that was so dominant, or Josh Hader in 2018. Those were 2 most dominant pitchers that I caught on a day in, day out basis.
Those are
Tell
good
you
ones.
what, how did your thumb feel after that outing?
I wore a thumb guard, so I was good. I alleviated that pain after rookie ball. I got it one time in rookie ball. I was like, I'm going to take so much ridicule for wearing a thumb guard. Now I'm like part of a spokesman with a thumb guard company that's really blowing up right now. So that kind of stuff. I got ridiculed for wearing a thumb guard, but that I would have gotten absolutely blown up. My thumb would have just been like,
You're not talking about the rubber one that you use when you hit. You're talking. Is it like a plastic that you put around the whole thumb?
It basically goes around this part of your thumb, and then it comes down. It comes down around here, and it keeps your thumb, because when you get thumbed, it's this ligament, and then these ligaments down in here that just get shredded from just hit at 99 to 100 miles an hour, and so it protects all that.
We'll have to talk about that one day. Those are interesting.
Yeah, I'll bring them on. It's actually really interesting, but a super, super niche market. It's not like, oh, well, my outfielder son wants one, or
no.
Oh, my son's catching one time, I'll buy one. But the ones who know, let's put it that way.
Catchers only club. That's what that is right there. Yeah. OG, grinder, you got to be doing it every day. All right, we'll come right back and go over the Toronto Blue Jays' pursuit of Roki Sasaki, because they're at least gathering the international cap. Now let's do some digging in the weeds. Does it sound like we're down to 2? The Padres are bringing in this international prospect that seemed to be testing the waters a little. Carlos Alvarez is the name. He was originally committed to San Diego. Like other big prospects, he was looking at other opportunities, and then he circled his way back to San Diego. So if you're the Padres, you need every penny of your international money. Does that mean they have gotten an indication that they are not signing Roki Sasaki? Also, maybe an hour or 2 later, we see the news that the Blue Jays pull a deal with the Guardians. The Blue Jays are the bank for the Guardians. They're kind of like their credit card situation where it's like, oops, we spent money on Miles Straw. We're trying to dump the contract. Let's call Toronto, who we already got a deal done to dump the Andres Gimenez contract on. Not that it's a bad deal, but Miles Straw goes to Toronto along with cash and international bonus money. Now, when you say cash, yes, some cash, it's like $3.5 million to cover some of what's left to Straw, but the Blue Jays are taking on that Straw contract in order to get more international signing money. So this gets them $2 million more, puts them up to $8.3 million in international signing money, of which they can spend on Roki Sasaki if he decides that Toronto is the place for him. That's $3 million more than the Dodgers at this very moment. The Dodgers can make trades like this too and acquire cash, but they can still get themselves, it looks like a little over $10 million total for Roki Sasaki. I mean, if they get themselves to like 10 and a half, whatever that number is that you're allowed to get up to, 10 and a half versus 5 is a difference. I mean, it's still $5.5 million. You know, it's not nothing, guys, for a guy who has not made much money yet in his life in Roki Sasaki. Plus, he's a pitcher. Arms are a ticking time bomb in Major League Baseball these days. You just never know. So that $5.5 million could go a long way. I don't doubt that the Dodgers can get up to that money, but they haven't yet. So to me, Todd Father, it at least means the Blue Jays think they're really in this thing.
Yeah, and I I would love to see like what the talks are and like how much money like one team's spending over the other. And the threshold is around that 10.5 mark. Are we right by saying that? Close enough? Scott?
The threshold for the amount that they can get up to?
Yes.
It sounds like it's the 10.5 range from what I saw. Yeah. Slightly over 10 mil is what Ken's report said.
And both teams can spend, you know.
I don't know if both teams can. You can increase
Dodgers
by 60%. Yeah,
but
the Dodgers will have less.
Okay.
By
well,
by like 1.5, 1.2, something like that. They won't be able to get as high.
I'm curious to see why the Blue Jays are in it, which is great. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I'm curious what makes him have them as their top 2 or 3 team, you know? So it looks like, if we're reading the room right, it looks like the Dodgers and Blue Jays, but, you know, it's interesting to see that the Blue Jays are up there, and I would love to see him to go to Toronto. I think that would be great for baseball. I think it would be really good for, you know, the AL East too as well. And I'm hoping he goes to the Blue Jays if you want, you know, the fact of the matter is.
Somebody that I talked to said he is really interested in blazing his own path. I mean, what a better place to blaze your own path than in a country that has 0 other teams that they're watching. He is taking over that entire Japanese Canadian market. All the people in Canada will be watching him. If they don't re-sign Vladdy, looks like they're not going to re-sign Bo. Who is the new face of the Blue Jays? Again, the only team in all of Canada. I get it. They play in Toronto, but he would be that new face, and it would just – there is a lot of intrigue there, and all of their amenities in the Rogers Center in spring training, second to none. I heard he was super impressed with all that stuff too.
They've always had that. They've got impressive facilities. They take care of their players because they know they have to in order to make them feel comfortable and want to sign there. So I give them a ton of credit for being in the mix. I know sometimes we give them a hard time because they're in the mix for a lot of guys and don't get them. And I explained yesterday how sometimes they're not overpaying to get a player. And there are representatives and players who feel like they should be. And they did that with George Springer. Maybe that comes back because this isn't just Roki. If Roki signs and you're Toronto, go all out, baby. I mean, this front office, even though reportedly isn't like on the hot seat, I mean, they got to do something. Things are going to change starting next year, especially if Vladdy leaves. Signed Pete Santander and Roki Sasaki. Now we're talking.
Wow. Talk about a transition. I mean, you're transitioning from what was the generation of Kevin Biggio, he's gone, to Bo Bichette, to Vladimir Guerrero. They're all coming up. Oh, the young Jays, and they were written as the paper tigers. And then they go out and they would sign those guys at the end of all of those young guys' careers with the Blue Jays, that would be crazy.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they need it. Top either yesterday on the show, we went through their lineup, and it wasn't pretty. So it wasn't pretty with the starting lineup. And then when we're talking depth on top of that, it wasn't pretty. That's been the problem. The team is elite on defense. We feel pretty comfortable about the starting staff. Sure, everyone could use another bullpen piece. You can make that case. It was nice for them to get the Jeff Hoffman pickup. But according to reports today from multiple insiders, they're still in talks with Santander. They are in talks with Pete Alonso. And of course, they're going after Roki Sasaki. Even if they get 2 of those guys, it's going to look pretty damn good. But I think there's a chance that they could get 3. It's not like we would have a roster crunch. We would not have a problem. Roki's in his own category. Anybody could throw that kind of arm in their rotation. But I'm talking about Pete and Santander. They have room for both of them. Those are big, big boy bats. I mean, you could add 80 home runs to a lineup that's got Vladdy Jr. coming off a dynamite season, and Bo Bichette's going to rebound. He's not going to be like he was last year. Things could change really quickly for them if you get 2 bats like that.
And I said at the last episode I was on, the Orioles to me are the 3rd best team in the AL East. And some people might disagree, even on the show, which is fine. But say they get 2 or 3 of those guys, oh my God. Then we got to talk about them being maybe 4th. It would be an awesome AL East coming up this year. Put the numbers aside and, division leaders aside. I'm talking about just downright dogs playing in the AL East day in and day out. We talk about over-unders. There's going to be a lot of them overs hit if there's more of these guys coming through in the AL East.
Mm-hmm. I like it. All right, so we'll see. I mean, we could get the news during this show. We'll keep rolling along with other news, but obviously we're here. I know some of you are here to catch that news. And as soon as we see anything, we'll let you know. I mean, the one thing that baseball generally does is break news in your face at really weird times. So we'll see if things change. I think if he signs with the Blue Jays, it might be this might be conspiracy theory, but I think if he signs with the Blue Jays, it might actually be on a weekday at a normal time. If he signs with the Dodgers, I think it might be like Saturday night at 2 a.m. because you're kind of trying to bury the news a little bit because the rest of MLB is going to be pissed, including those that thought the whole thing was a little pony dance to get to where everyone thought he was going to go.
I'm going to
Scott, go ahead.
Go ahead, Toddy. Go ahead.
No, it's January 17th, Scott. Opening day for spring training is, do we know? By chance,
February
around
12th.
this?
Oh, well, pitchers and catchers is, February 12th-ish. And then exhibition games about a week and a half after that, 2 weeks after that, depending on the team.
We got less than a month before people report. There are tons of guys who don't have a job right now. This seems like every year. People are going to have to start signing, dude. I don't want to go into spring training without a team. You see how it happened to Blake Snell. You see how it happened to, I'm just drawing a blank. He pitched with the Yankees, went to Diamondbacks, or Rangers, then Diamondbacks.
Jordan Montgomery, Matt Chapman, the whole deal. There's 150 free agents. No, I get it.
It's time. The brass has these guys by the balls. I mean, lack of better words, by the cojones. It's time. People are going to sign for less money. If I'm the Blue Jays, I'm putting a ballpark figure up there where I'm comfortable with and see what they say. It's time, man. You're not going to have to spend so much money to get some of these guys.
Except, Kratz, last word quick, and then we're going to get to our guest.
I was just going to say, based on what you were talking about when it's going to be announced, if it's the Jays, they want to announce it Friday night. Everyone's driving home from work, walking home from work, big press the whole weekend to just get hype about it because they don't have football. Yeah. If it's the Dodgers, we might find out at like 11:30 at night on Saturday night or during right before kickoff of some football game.
That's true too. Right before playoffs. Good call. Well, our next guest is going to get paid. It's just that the free agent reliever market has barely moved. We're going to talk to David Robertson about where he's thinking. I feel you, Top Father. Yeah, it's about 150 free agents. That's the round number that people are using right now. Not all of them are going to get major league deals. Probably 75-ish left to get major league deals in my mind, give or take.
That'd be a
That
lot.
might be
That'd be a lot
little
of big
high.
league deals. I'll
Yeah.
take the under. I'll take the under.
Yeah. But 150 guys that will still play baseball that were playing in the major leagues last year. This is just what happens this time of year. It's part of a bigger fight. Obviously, we're going to be on during, what will be eventually most likely a lockout at some point. Doesn't mean we'll miss games, but you'll have all the fighting and the back and forth, and we'll be the only show that actually covers it. So anyway, I'm not looking forward to it, but it's probably going to happen in a couple of years. But anyway, all right, quick thing on Paul Skeens that we thought was fun from the other day. This was posted by some dude who caught him in an airport. He said, a friend of mine met Paul Skeens on a flight, didn't have anything for him to sign. He signed his copy of Crime and Punishment. Good job, Paul. You guys ever sign anything super weird where someone's like, I don't have anything. Sign this random hat of another team.
True, Kratz, you gotta go.
I'm waiting for Todd.
I mean, I've signed $100 bills. I've signed somebody's car before. I thought that was the strangest thing. The bumper of a car.
Whoa.
I'm sure there's others I just can't think about, but I signed a bumper of a car. I thought that was really interesting.
That's why.
That's a weird one.
That's why I let you go first, because I go to like schools and stuff, and kids, they don't know. They're just like, everybody's getting an autograph. And this kid was in line coming up to get an autograph, and the teacher, who was my sister, had a box of tissues on the desk, and kid just swiped the box of tissues and he goes, here, sign this. I look at my sister, and she's like, all right, sign it. I've signed shoes. I've signed arms. I signed a kid's forehead one time. I was like, you got to ask your mom. This is a permanent marker. And the mom's back there like, yeah, absolutely.
Wow. It's like, I want to teach him a lesson of what permanent marker means. Go for it, Kratz. You're there to help the kids learn. Yeah, that stuff doesn't go away too easily. All right. Anyway, we'll talk to David Robertson next on FT. Hey, we're going to talk about the Playmakers Classic because there's a chance David Robertson's there if he ends up with a team that's got a little spring training action in Arizona. He joins us here on FT for the second time, so we'll get to all that. But David, thanks for joining us, man. How's your off season going as free agent player and representation?
It's going. It's a little slow this year, but everybody's just kind of hanging around to see what everyone else is going to do. So it'll all shake out in the end.
David, what's up, dog? How we living down there, kid?
I'm hanging in there, man. It's been a minute since you and I are playing together in that hot sun in Japan.
Oh my God, that was a blast, dude. I tell people about it still to this day. That was my last at bat ever in baseball, playing in there. I thought, and to think back of the careers that we've had, and you're still playing, and the teams we played for, and the stories. I mean, it's just it's incredible. I miss you and I should write a book one day. I think that'd be great.
People wouldn't believe it. Everyone forgets about all the stuff we had to do in COVID and how tight the Olympics were. Everything, and then spit in the tube every morning and so much sweat. God, just thinking about
ask you a question. Oh God, miserable. I want to ask you a question. You're representing yourself. You're one of very few people that do that. Very hard to do, for one. You're a very smart person. You're articulate. You know numbers very well. A guy that I've known very well. You do your homework. How different, how cool, how hard is it talking to brass from other teams? And, they're like, hey, what do you think about this deal? And you're like, let me talk to my agent. Hold on. I'm back. Hi, this is David Robertson. You know what I mean? Like, tell us a little, can you give us a little inkling or an example of some things of how it goes about? Because I think it's so interesting that you are probably one of the only guys that I know that's ever done this.
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, for the most part, I know a lot of the GMs or a lot of people that contact me from organizations, and we just kind of have a lot of straightforward conversations of where they're at and where I'm at, and if there's a deal to be had, we'll go back and forth until someone's in agreement, and then we start putting a pen to paper on something. I mean, if the situation's right, the contract's right, and it's an opportunity where I can play, we're going to have that conversation. If they tell me, I'm not worth this, and we don't think you're that good, and I'll say, well, okay, it's fine. I can handle it. It doesn't bother me too much. If it's honestly, it doesn't get stressful because if anybody screws it up on my end, it's me, and then I just have to deal with it. So I don't worry about it too much. I've messed up enough things in my life that I can deal with a little heat when I screw up.
Well, so let me ask you.
What was the
Kratzy, let me jump in real quick. I'm sorry. Have you ever, and you know how I am, like I take things to heart, if you come at me, most of the time I'm going to come back at you. Now, let me ask you this. Has there been a time where a guy's like, dude, you're just not worth that much. You're not that good. Like, who are you kidding? And have you been like, yo, hey, John or Jimmy, screw you, like, has there ever been a time where you've gone back at somebody and you had to this banter back and forth where you're like, wait till I pitch against your team, buddy? No, something like that.
No, it's never like that. It's usually like, well, we're not in that range to take you on, to add you to our organization. I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. I understand. I've got another option. So yeah, I don't really sweat it. It happens. Yeah. I mean, listen, big boy, you can hear it sometimes. The numbers aren't right for a team, and that's the way it goes.
Why did you come to this realization? Is it because you were sick of not hearing from teams and now you actually hear from the teams? Or is it because you're super cheap? Which is it? You didn't want to pay your agent, or you didn't? Which is it, D-Rob? Come on now. Come on now.
I know what it is.
Good question. Yeah. There's been times where I've seen things and I've seen what agents do, and I've always thought, well, I love a good haggle and I like to negotiate things. So
you do.
It's fun to be part of it. When you feel like you come out on the winning side of a deal, you're like, yes, I did it. It's almost as good as like striking somebody out in the ninth to finish a game. You're like, yeah, worked.
It's an adrenaline rush. I like that. You also had a great year, so that doesn't hurt. And just to make you feel a little better, I mean, most of the good relievers haven't signed yet, and usually, especially in the relief market, it all happens at once. So you just have to wait for your boy Tanner Scott to sign. Once he signs, they'll go, okay, that was his price, and this is what everyone else's is. So just tell us about your year for a moment. Obviously, it's fair to say in baseball terms, you are not young, and you are still thriving. How are you doing this?
Well, successful surgery 4 years ago has been the biggest thing. I was struggling there in 2019. I didn't, after getting hurt and then having to go through the whole process of coming back and COVID and working my way through everything, it was difficult. But once I finally got healthy, I realized that I could do the same things I was doing when I was younger. I just needed a new elbow. That was really the biggest key for me. And I know I'm almost 40, but I stay in good shape. I don't like to be outworked. When you're paying me for a job, I'm going to give you everything I got. You're going to get every ounce of energy I've got. So I don't worry about the physical side of it. I just needed to get healthy. That was the biggest key.
The best calves in baseball. I know we've talked about this. Real Muto is a hard second place. We know for sure. Hey, let me ask you this, man. And I love to put you on the spot because that's just my nature, and you're a buddy of mine. Have the Yankees called you? And if they do, is there an opportunity maybe to slip in that bullpen again, hopefully?
You never know. I mean, listen, I'm open to anyone who calls. I'll listen to any team and any offer, everything that goes on. I mean, you'll never hear about it if they do make me an offer. I don't tell anybody anything. I'll be my own agent. I just kind of keep it nice and close to the chest.
Why is that? I ask so many players, and they go on free agents. They're done with free agency, and they're like, we hear it leaked. Oh, the Red Sox were in. The Blue Jays were in. But he ultimately signed with the Dodgers, or he ultimately signed with the Giants. Why now? Because you're at this point, And I understand maybe agents want to keep that relationship. You ain't got no relationship with no teams. Like they're either signing you or they don't. So at the end, I would love it. Once you sign, I would love it for you to be like, yeah, actually 3 other teams called me, but nobody actually made an offer. So no, nobody was in on David Robertson, who could anchor your 7th, 8th, 9th innings of your bullpen for your team that needs a reliever.
Well, sometimes I try to keep the relationships good because I don't know when I'm going to quit playing, and I don't know which team I'm going to be on the next year. And signing 1-year deals, you got to keep all your contacts, and you don't want to get on the bad side of anyone and ruin a deal for what could be next year. So I it's easy for me to just kind of keep it contained. Listen, if I'm moving somewhere, teams know I'm moving. They may not, the media might not know, but everyone else does.
Boring. I want to know because I feel like too many teams were like, we were in on Shohei. Okay. Hey, Shohei, how much did the Blue Jays offer you? Well, I don't know. I'm not going to say. No, tell me, because then the Blue Jays fans can get excited about it, or they can be realistic and be like, you offered Shohei $500 million. You weren't even close.
Yeah, I don't want to ruffle any feathers.
Ruffle them.
Until he retires, then he's writing a book. Then he's writing a book and literally laying out every single thing, which is what you can do. Once you're done playing, you can do what you want. I get it. You ride it out while you're playing. Last one, I want to get to some of the charity work too. So would you consider this post-playing career one day? Do you like it that much? Because, hey, if you apply to work with an agency, you're getting a job. Your resume is good. You played and you self-represented. You can help someone.
I've thought about it. It's not a bad idea. I've considered it. I don't know, when I'm going to be done playing, and if I move on to the next chapter of my life and that opportunity becomes available. Yeah, there's still there's a lot of things that I would need to learn. Obviously, I'm just representing myself. I've never had to deal with taking on multiple clients and teams and trying to keep it all straight in my head. But yeah, it's something I would definitely consider later on in life for sure.
All right, so I want to spend some time on what you've done on disaster recovery for hurricanes with your foundation, High Sox for Hopes, and obviously how it ties into what we've been promoting, the Playmakers Classic. Again, disclaimer, depends on where you are because the Playmakers Classic's in Arizona. So if he ends up with a team where there's spring training out there, then we can see David out there. But either way, what the Players Trust does is provide support for charity initiatives that players have, whether that's financial, other resources, how even some players want to start their own charities. So take us through your journey.
Yeah, I mean, well, the Playmakers Classic is going to be a great event. First of all, it's going to be a wonderful event as it allows us to kind of reach out in the community and let everybody know what charities we're running and the helpfulness that the union does with us, in the not just in the U.S. but everywhere. And it's a wonderful event they're going to put on. And, we've worked through, they've helped us with donations and with High Sox for Hope, our own charity. We've been able to put together a lot of money and put to good use in a lot of different areas. So it's a wonderful event, and it's a great outreach for the MLB players to have.
That's cool. Can you tell us more about what you guys have done though? Your individual charity, so people can.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we've been in North Carolina.
Give me part
for a
two
while.
so people know if they can help. Yeah.
Yeah, we've been in North Carolina for a while and in Tennessee, and we've been in the Asheville area since Hurricane Helen came through, and it's been it's a lot going on there. We're a small charity, but we've been sending a lot of mold removal kits to that area. We're going to be starting to furnish some houses soon. We've been working with a lot of other local charities and churches in those areas, and we're going to continue to stay on the ground. We actually have boots on the ground there, so it's nice. But trying to help start the process of getting folks that have had to deal with that hurricane issue, get them back into their houses or into somewhere that's more reasonable to stay, and get them back on their feet and get them moving again.
I got one more baseball question for you. Shift off the charity. Should relievers get as many Cy Young votes as they get? It's a super random question, but I was looking at your baseball reference page. I think you were 11th the one year. I think it was 11 or 12. You were just dominant that year. Should relievers be in that same category? Should they get as high as like Emmanuel Clase got? Or is it not fair? Because we have this conversation all the time in the sense that, like, even if Clase has a historic year, he's still not out there nearly as many innings as starters.
Yes, but I think that a lot of those big innings that relievers eat up can win ball games. I know that starters cover a lot more on the whole, but there's times where a back end guy steps in and leaves runners on base, and you win the baseball game because of it. That stopper in the back end of the bullpen wins games. I mean, you can't win games without being able to close them down, especially now in the way the game goes now, where starters are 5, 6, 7 innings, and then you've got to have 2 stoppers at the back end to chew up those next 2 innings to seal those wins. So I think, it's definitely possible. I mean, there's been years where guys have put together, below 1 ERAs out of the bullpen, and a lot of times it's not just an easy 1 inning in the ninth. They're coming in for multiple innings, and they are dealing with runners on base. And if you can do it now with the pitch clock going and hold runners, I think that's a big deal. Yeah, I think that, they should get some more votes. I mean, listen, relievers need love too.
Agreed. That last line especially. All right, I'll get 1 or 2 fan questions in here before you jump. So Dylan asks, can you ask David about if getting traded by the Mets made him feel a certain way about the org or not? So when you get traded, do you take it like biz, or do you ever take it personal? Because I would say the Mets weren't good. They knew that year. So I would take that as a compliment that they were trading you to a quote unquote contender at the time.
Ooh, that one stung me. When I signed with the Mets, I thought, they'd won 103 games the year before. And, I was sliding into a beautiful role of throwing the 7th or 8th inning and then having Diaz behind me. If I get in any trouble, if I get in any trouble, here comes the man who's going to strike out 3 out of the 4 batters he faces right behind me. So I could kind of really be a little more, I could work a little bit differently on the mound. Well, then he got injured, and then I kind of stepped into a different role, and the team just wasn't able to put it together. We had a great group of guys. We had a lot of fun on the field, but we just couldn't win ball games. It was frustrating. Philly was just kicking our butt all over the place that year. So was everyone else. And then when that happens, people get traded. They got to try to start building and add pieces. And when you're on a 1-year deal, you're the guy who's getting moved.
That's right. 1-year deal. That's what happens. All right, one more Mets related. What did you think of the Soto deal?
I mean, he's a good player. I faced him a bunch. He scares me every time he swings the bat. Listen, I don't know. I'm not his agent. I'm good for him though. Great deal. I like to see the numbers going up like that. That's for sure. I think he's going to do very well in the Mets uniform. That's for sure.
Hey, do you remember in Chicago? Remember we had this big spell about fans running on the field. There was like 3. We had 3 fans run literally 5 days in a row. We had 3 fans back to back days or whatever it was. And you're on the mound. You're like, son of a gun. Oh, what the heck? And do you remember what I told you on the mound?
I don't know. I remember being so mad because I was like, I don't have it today. I've actually got 2 outs. We're about to win this game. And I'm so mad.
About to win the game.
This guy runs down the field.
And he's like, I remember you're like, God, what's this? Because when Dave's on the mound, he's got this determination and everything. But if one thing goes wrong, he gets in a little tizzy that he gets a little angry. So I went to him. I'm like, Dave, for lack of better words, I'm like, shut up. I'm like, you're a good freaking reliever. Get on the mound and go throw the damn ball. And, he looked at me. He's like, you're right. Guy got off the field. He got the out. He's like, after he goes, Frazier, Todd, we needed that. I needed that. Thank you so much. It was just a fun little quirk about David, man. If something like stupid happens on the field that we have no control over, you don't want to anger Dave like that. I had to calm him down so we could get the win. I just thought that was a fun moment between you and I.
Oh yeah, I'm doing better about it. It took me a few years to calm down, but yeah, there used to be some times, man, I get frustrated. Sosha got me one time out there standing in front of home plate arguing about something, and I wanted to strangle him.
Yeah. You don't have to feel.
I ended up blowing a game that was an easy win for us, and good times.
Oh wait,
good times.
I've got the future job for you after your playing days. Got to do a few security appearances. And you can truck stick a fan if they jump on the field and save everyone. Yeah, join the Atlanta team. That the Atlanta security team's always hyped up. That's the ones that we always hear about, where they're laced up. They've got like their Jordans on and they're lifting weights, and they just can't wait to body slam a dude. Yes, Todd.
Hey, Dave, I would love for this to happen. When you finally figure out where you're going, how about you break the news on the show? I think that'd be pretty fascinating. If you'd like to do that, that'd be pretty sick.
I'll think about it. Sometimes
think about it.
You got to go take a physical, and after once it's all sealed, you don't want to tell anybody know if you're going to get the physical done.
Well, you can hush it, and then while you're in the MRI, we'll take a video and we'll get after it.
Sounds good.
Post physical, that's fair. That's fair. You tell the team if it gets out, it's not me because it's just me. We wait till post physical, and then I'm going to announce it myself, and we could go somewhere with a little charity push too. So yeah, I'm for it. I like what Frazier's cooking. Dave, thanks so much for coming on, man. Good to see you. Good luck through that process, and we'll catch you in spring training.
All right, thanks for having me on, guys.
Appreciate you. And here's a little more info on what we were talking about. Third annual Playmakers Classic, February 18th. Current and former MLB players, including Hall of Famers, too. Live performances. The lead singer of Florida Georgia Line is going to be there to sing a little bit. Interactive games, good food, good spirits if you're of age. Playmakers, FT is the code, playerstrust.org to sign up and get there. Be right back. All right, here we go. 2 catcher signings. They just get mentioned during this little YouTube 2.5 minutes because they're minor league deals. We just don't have time on the major league show, but the YouTubers get it all. So Jorge Alfaro to the Brewers, minor league contract, invite to spring training. Man, when he was first coming up, people were excited about him, thought he could be like a 30, 40 homer bat. And then you've got Martin Maldonado. Last year with the White Sox, 119 batting average, 174 on base, 230 slugging. That's not what you're signing him for, but that offense is tough to keep. And so minus 1.3 WAR last year. The Padres signed him to a minor league deal. Their starting catchers, Luis Campusano. A little bit of a difference between Maldonado's bat and Kyle Higashioka-Kratz if Maldi ends up being the second catcher.
Little bit of a difference. But Maldi's got that aura about him with the game calling and all that stuff. Still can throw guys out. Other stuff, he's kind of been down a little bit. But Jorge Alfaro, let's just bookmark that because teams are now thinking, well, how can we upgrade? Ooh, don't dip into our farm system. Jorge Alfaro was part of 2 monster trades to the Phillies from the Rangers for Cole Hamels, I think? No. I'm thinking that wrong. Anyway, he was part of that monster trade, and then down to the Marlins for the JT Realmuto trade. So just saying, if you're looking at a prospect that's a can't-miss, cannon of an arm, all that stuff, let's just pump the brakes and make sure if your team's in a spot to win, you're making that move for that guy.
Nailed it. Also, Cole Hamels trade, by the way.
Excuse me. Good job, Kratzy. I want to go back to the Martin Maldonado trade. This guy keeps finding jobs. This guy is a fantastic catcher. He can't hit, and he'll be the first one to tell you that. He's not the consistent hitter. The Padres, that's a big-time move by the Padres. Catchers get injured, whether it's a foul ball, whatever it is. Catchers get injured. They have a monster backup to come up for the 2 to 4 weeks to help out a ball club. That is a monster pickup. They will leave right where they left off if somebody gets hurt. I like that pickup.
Nice. Okay, there you go. 2 little baby moves coming up next. We'll talk about Kyle Tucker and the Cubs avoiding the little arbitration battle. Cubs have new unis. Ken Rosenthal still joining us soon. He's coming. Don't worry. A little later in the show. Let's sizzle. Let's talk Cubs. So first off, they settled with Kyle Tucker. They were pretty far apart. They were going to go to ARB. It's always weird. They settle in somewhat of a midway point at $16.5 million. So no hearing, and that means Tucker is going to be there for the Cubs convention this weekend, which is a big deal. Also a unique case, Jesse Rogers reporting on this, because he only played half a season, but his WAR number was large. 4.2 Fangraphs WAR, 23 home runs. That's a monster half season. If he's making his case in ARB court, he's telling them how that would have looked over a full season. The counter might be, well, you were hurt. His counter is, well, I've been pretty durable. So it would have been an interesting battle. I would have loved to watch the live stream of it, but it'll never happen. The one thing I did learn more about Todd Father was how this isn't just a Cubs versus Kyle Tucker situation. It's really more of a league versus union situation. When you've got this kind of separation in a unique case like this, there are other parties in play, right? The league's like, you can't give them this number because then it's going to raise anyone else in their case's number. So whatever. They figured it out behind the scenes. I know we always joke about how we're like, hey, the team can't just give in on this stuff, but there's more to it. This becomes a legal battle with arbitration. Also, I don't really care. They made it work. And for fans, it's cool because now he gets to go to Cubs convention and they can see how sneaky funny, but also super quiet he is.
Yeah, and that's the part fans don't know, whether, they settled at 16.5. You could put whatever number you want in arbitration. Even if you were like, all right, I want 17.5. And they're like, nope, we'll give you 16. It doesn't go 17.5 and 16. It's whatever that organization wants. They can go at 13 and you can go at 25. You can do whatever you want. It's either one number or the other. And that's the scary part about the whole situation. I got done with that with the White Sox. They started at like 8. We started at 16 or something like that, give or take a few numbers off. We ended up settling at 12 with 5 minutes left to go. I remember like it was yesterday. It was pretty intense. And I wanted to go because I was angered, but at the same time, the amount was fair.
You would have broken that table, Todd. I wish you had gone to arbitration and gotten your 16, but you would have more for the drama is all I wanted. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting case. It's definitely an interesting case because arbitration, while they listened to the other numbers, it was actually against Tucker. It was against him because of the fact that he only had 23 homers, and people will hate on me because they're like, well, it's only half a season. The arbitrator doesn't care. Arbitrator basically just says, how many times did you show up for work and what kind of bulk work did you do while you were there? And you know what? He only had 23 homers. That's good for a lot of guys. Had he played the whole season, it would have been elite. I get it. But he only showed up for 78 days of work. That is not boding well. So I'm glad they found a midpoint, and it's good by the Cubs. Hat tip by the Cubs.
There you go. And you want to hype the crowd, you want to sell tickets, get the Star to the show on the weekend. It's big. I mean, I know some fan fests have been canceled or pushed every other year or whatever with some teams. I think that's trash. I don't know what the problem is, but the Cubs do a really good job of this. There's a few other teams that always deliver with conventions and fan fests in the wintertime, and I think it's just a great way to show love to fans, even if you take a loss on it. It's okay. So it's cool. We'll see some video from that this weekend when we talk on Monday because Sammy Sosa's coming. That's going to get attention. He hasn't been to anything Cubs related in a long time. So that's going to be fun because a lot of the players have been talking about it, including Justin Steele on one of the recent episodes of Northside Territory. QR code, bottom of the screen there if you want to get into that show. But other topic, Cubs related, we did get an alternate uniform release. Thoughts on this?
I was wondering, is this a City Connect or it's not a City Connect, right? It's just an alternate jersey.
No, this is alternate.
Just an alternate.
No,
I love it.
Just an alternate.
I might be wrong. I love it. I like those numbers, and I like how they kind of kept the same type of Cubs logo, but they gave it its own flair. I really like it, and it's baby blue, right? Is that what I'm looking at?
That's what it looks like to my eyes, and I love baby blue. I mean, the baby blue always does well with teams that put that together. I know you're in Philly, Kratz, and man, the fans love the baby blue days, the powder blue they call it, whatever. But it's a nice shade. I'm into it. I'm with you too. I was waiting to see what you guys said. I feel like nowadays so many people hate on uniforms that they're all like, what do you think? What do you think? I want to hear you first. But I looked at it and I was like, yep, good. I like it. Add it to the alternate list. I know somebody's going to slice it up and say this should be done this way. Okay, that's cool.
No.
A lot of people have different styles. I thought it was really well done. I like almost every part about it.
Yep.
Todd said
You're
yes.
waiting on my response. Right. I know.
No, you're good.
You're good. I got silent because I was waiting for you to be like, "Yo, Todd, what do you think?" No, I think it's a good uniform. It was good. I like the old uniforms, but it's a good one.
They're not switching the OG unis. This is just an alternate. This is just like, hey, we're feeling frisky on a Friday. Let's do something different.
Could have saved that one for the City Connects too. That would have been a nice one too as well. But yes, I like those Friday. I like those Friday unis.
Okay, let's promote Northside territory and Crush City territory, two of our pods and shows on the FT network. There it is. Hadev Sharma and Patrick Mooney, both great beat writers, reporters, insiders, all that for The Athletic. They deliver Cubs Inside Access news, interviews, like I mentioned, Justin Steele, recent episode, but they did one recently with the Crush City territory crew. So you can check out that pod and show. I know there's some Astros haters, or many probably, in the chat right now. And if you're not into it, they're not asking for you. But if you are and you want to hear their take, or even just hate watch or hate listen, Chandler, Tyler, plus Josh Reddick is part of that group as well. And close to talking to Ken Rosenthal, but when we swing back, we are going to celebrate episode number 500. All right, here we go. All the talk on shows that cover sports nationally, but really just talk about the same three football topics plus a drop of LeBron, have been talking about Deion Sanders' possibility of coaching a really crappy football team right now, at least in the Cowboys. That's all I'll go. But anyway, we'll spin it to baseball. Hall of Fame player that should come back and manage a club. There's actually a lot of names, even of recent retirees. So I'll wait for one of my two that are easy layups that I think are both going to be managing within the next 5 years or so. Kratz, you got one?
So not guys, you're asking for guys who are definitely going to be a manager one day, or guys who should be a manager? It'd be cool to see him manage.
Either one.
I'd love to see Mike Schmidt manage. It's my hero. I just think the issue is when you have superstars, Hall of Fame guys, they don't always connect with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one. First guy that came to my mind who's super serious, but at the same time funny as all heck, Scott Rowland. I think he would be a respected manager. I think, when I first came up playing with him, he had the utmost respect from everybody in that locker room, but he was also funny and quirky at the same time. He worked hard. His work ethic was unmatched, and I think he would instill that in his ball players.
Albert Pujols wants to manage. Yadi Molina is probably going to manage. I feel like those were both layups.
Yeah. They're not Hall of Famers yet, so I didn't think of them. But yeah.
Crap. You're right. Good call.
Yeah, you're right.
Future Hall of Famers. They're both going to be Hall of Famers. So
Yadi will do better. Yadi will do better. I don't know that Pujols is going to be able to. I don't know. You have to be able to connect with all 26 guys, and maybe he can. I don't know him, but you have to be able to be like, not just like, well, hey, just go out and do this. Like, I didn't hit 300 with 30 and 100 every single year for the first 10 years of my career.
Jim Thome.
I'm seeing some names here. Yeah, Jim Thome's a good one. David Ortiz would be the fun coordinator, but he's not managing.
He's got to manage a Dominican.
Hey, what's that guy's name?
First.
He'd be like, what's that guy's name? I want him in the game. You need a good bench coach. Poppy could do it. He would have a lot of fun. He'd need a banger of a bench coach.
And guys would listen to him. There's no doubt. He's got the respect of the room. I agree with you on Yadi over Pujols. I don't even think they're in the same weight class in terms of how they would manage. Congratulations to FT from the Orlando boys, Scotty Braun and Mini AJ Pierzynski. We are both very excited to be here for show number 500. We might get a cameo from AJ coming up in a few minutes, but before we get to our last segment, talking to Ken Rosenthal a little bit, who also obviously is a big part of what we do, we just wanted to shout out some memories. So, Kratz, I'll let you lead off with one of your favorite moments in FT history. What is it?
I mean, I'm not even sure which one they ended up picking. Did they pick the? You guys have to give me a.
KP,
you guys have to give me a which.
KP.
What?
You should look at your notes every once in a while, or answer a text.
We were going off of it. We were going which one we all liked, and I picked a couple of them. But when Kevin Pillar, I've even talked about this the second time after he came on. When Kevin Pillar came on our show and was in his car with all of his crap packed after being DFA'd, like that is for me, that's quintessential what big league baseball can be, and it is for the majority of guys. It's not all just Shohei superstars, MVPs and home run races. This is real life. And to me, being able to show that when KP got DFA'd and then he had to pack up and move his family, that's real life in the big leagues. And it's not that it's, don't do it. It's just a tough thing to go through. And it was so cool that he did that immediately after getting DFA'd.
Videos for all these, so let's run that one.
Playing time, maybe I kind of felt, a little bit lower on the depth chart, but I felt like my importance was a little bit more than, necessarily what I do on the field. I mean, I came here, with a designed role to face left-handed pitching, and when you're in that kind of role, you're subject to the schedule. I think we're, almost a month into the season, I got about 20 some odd at bats. More than half of them have come, off right-handed pitching when, I've sat for multiple days and they've allowed me to go out there and play. I don't feel bad for myself. It is what it is. I think the longer you're in this game, you realize that, these things are a possibility. And, in some way, if you haven't, experienced some of these things, you haven't been in the game long enough. So, as much as it sucks, I kind of take it as I've been able to survive this game for a long time.
That's really cool. And yeah, that is really good stuff. Sentimental from the heart and action right away. And I'm talking about action. My favorite moment would have to be by one of our colleagues here. I didn't know about this story, but this man made $2,000, and I'm talking about Erik Kratz. Let's roll this video of how Erik Kratz made his $2,000 by accidentally falling down.
That is incredible. Kratz, give me the play-by-play.
Just kind of milling around the dugout, and they put out the orange carpet that you saw there that I dove on. I see the orange carpet go out. They go, "Oh, man, you wouldn't take a dive." I was like, prove it. I'm thinking somebody's going to be like $250, $300. Luke Gregerson first. He goes, $1,000 you won't take a dive when they call you. I said, all right. And somebody goes, it might have been Marisnik. It might have been Keuchel. I'm not 100% sure who said it. They go, nobody else is going to get in on this? Scott Feldman goes, get in on what? He goes, $1,000 for what? I'll do it. They're like, Kratz is going to take a dive for $1,000. He goes, make it $2,000. No chance he does it. Ran back out. High fives, everybody. 2,000 cash.
And that went pretty viral too. That was, I think, our first, million plus views on TikTok video. I think it's in the maybe 2.5 million, something real nice. So props to Kratz. I mean, he earned it. He got all the street cred in Pennsylvania. All the kids, all the high schoolers thinking they're going to be influencers, and Kratz is like, nah, I'm the guy. I'm him.
I got super street cred. I got super street cred because you see girls and guys like doing the dance. They're like doing this dance all over the screen, and I'm just like,
here we go.
How many y'all got for that video? Oh, 1,500. Let me show you something.
That's good. Well, this story for FT went ultra viral internationally great for us, but then picked up by other places that have been around for a while, like the ESPNs of the world. And I'm talking tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of views across the world. Pete Alonso, very organically telling us a story based on a previous conversation we were having. It became known as the viral poop homer story.
I actually had a story like that this year, funny enough.
Yes,
go ahead,
please.
Go
on.
So, I mistimed my pregame coffee. Mistimed it. I had it too close to game time. And then I'm running, doing my sprints, and then I throw, and then middle of the first inning, I'm like, goodness gracious. This is not good. So I was hitting the top of the second. I was leading off the inning, and I said, I don't care where this pitch is. This at bat is ending first pitch. Because I need to go. And then first pitch, I get a hanging slider, and then I deposit it in the seats. And then as soon as I touch home plate, it was like it's straight to the bathroom. No high fives, straight to the bathroom.
Dude,
but
you hit a home. It's a home run, and it has to go. That is epic story, dude. That's epic.
That was best case. But dude, honestly, if I had to run the base, I would have gotten picked off on purpose or something because I would have had to go so bad.
That is why Pete Alonso is so good for the game. I mean, he is one of the game's best ambassadors. Later on in that conversation, Kratz even remembered the exact moment, which was next level and made me so proud as a teammate. He knew the freaking pitch, the scenario, and obviously it shows that we're watching the freaking games. That was awesome. All right, last but not least, this man actually comes to life today and sent us a video.
FT family, congratulations on 500 episodes. My favorite moment, I don't even know where to start. Between the people behind the scenes, the laughs we've had, the coaches, the managers, especially the player interviews, insight like no other. Thank you to all the fans. I appreciate all your love and support and all your chat, sometimes not good. But thank you guys. Thank you for all the support people behind the scenes no one gets to talk about. Thank you to all my partners, Scott, Erik, Todd, all you guys that believed in us. Cheers to 500. By the way, sorry I can't be there today. I'm at the Annika Sorenstam Invitational today. Sorry, but it's golf time. Cheers to 500, guys. Let's see where this goes. Ah, perfect. Happy 500.
Nice, nice.
Hey, those fairway. That was the biggest fairway I've ever seen in my life. Come on, man. If he missed that, we had a problem.
I mean, mix in a tighter fairway for sure.
That
was good. That was great, man.
He nailed it. Good performance. Exactly. All right, good stuff. And of course, we'll cheers and celebrate with Ken Rosenthal, and we'll put him to work too. There's a lot of interesting news flying around on a Friday, so we'll get to that coming soon. You might want to grab this one while it's cold. BetMGM futures, we have all the numbers for 2025, and we keep running through teams. The Jays are at 76.5. If you think they're signing Roki, they're probably going to end up with Santander or Pete Alonso. That number starts to look pretty nice. Thoughts from everyone here?
I feel like they're a 500 team right now. I don't know. This scares me because if they're putting it up, that means right now I really like this bet. I would say over for sure.
I would say over even without that, because my fear, and you might debunk it, is they get Pete, they might subtract Vladdy. I can't say, like, I'm not waiting for this to go up or like waiting for any kind of signing. I love it where it's at. I love the over for sure. I'm all on board with Todd. I think 500 in the American League East is tough to do, but I got a couple games to play with here. If it was at 80 or something, I'd be like, I don't know, but I really like this number.
Yeah, I mean, they had a tough year last year, but I think Bo Bichette's going to rebound. I think Vladdy's still going to do his thing. I still like the starting staff. And I think their offseason is still in the 5th inning, to take a term from another team. The Cubs last year said they were in the 5th inning of their offseason, but they really were in like the 8th. I think the Blue Jays are in the 5th inning. I think they jump a few innings if they sign a Pete or a Santander, but I think there's something like that still cooking for them, and maybe something else too. They haven't spent a lot. They've only really gotten Andres Jimenez and Jeff Hoffman, which is both, nice pieces, but I think they're going to do something big, something stupid, as we like to say sometimes in baseball.
I'm locking this one in. I'm locking this one in for the boys.
You're locking this one in? You're feeling good? Okay, lock it in for us. Yeah, mark it down so we know what day we did it, because that's important in this case if the Blue Jays do other things. All right, BetMGM Poker fam. They just merged their player pools in Michigan and Jersey. So you happen to be in those areas, then you can get a little more action in your online poker game. Over $400,000 in guarantees each week. I think Kratz is actually playing in a tournament coming up in a couple weeks if you want to beat him. So we'll talk more about that coming soon. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Here we go. We're back. Waiting for Ken Rosenthal. He'll join us soon. We're going to get to him kind of towards the end of the show. There's a little Starling Marte rumor floating around. There might be a trade in the works. We don't have any details, but yeah, Kratz, you called it. Might be a little crowded out there in Mets land, and we'll see if he ends up elsewhere. Did you say, were you the one who said Pittsburgh, or you just said some other team and they'll open up some space for him?
Could it be a reunion? Could it be a reunion? And the reason I said it was because he's making $22 million. I figured the Mets would pay down a large portion of it because of the fact that he can still be productive, but he can be injury prone. Could he actually make more than $10 million, which Bob Nutting has made like the hard line while he was there? I'm not paying anybody over $10 million until now, Brian Reynolds, all that stuff. But I think that'd be interesting. Could he make $11 million and finally be one of the guys that made over $10 million from Bob Nutting?
They're going to eat money if he goes to the Pirates. He's probably going to get at least a few $1 million eaten up by the Mets. So does that really count if they're not paying him the full amount?
If 11 million or 10 million and $1 from the Pirates, he's getting paid by, because when you get paid by two teams, you get two separate checks. So if it's coming from the Pirates, it counts.
Todd loves the Pirates, so you got last word, baby.
Go somewhere else.
Not his choice. Not his choice.
It's his choice. I don't care.
Why not go to the Pirates? Dude, you get to see Paul Skeens, Jared Jones, Mitch Keller every single day.
They're up and coming. They're up and coming. Yeah. Don't go by my experience. Go by, it's exciting. It's an upcoming team. As long as the brass doesn't screw it up, they got a really good opportunity.
There you go. Well said. All of those words. Well said. All right. We're taking a break. Ken Rosenthal in the green room. Give us a couple minutes, and we're ready to go.
We're going to give you a little veteran advice. If it ever happens again, hopefully it doesn't, don't ever grab your guy, okay? Grab one of their guys. You never grab your guy. Go grab another guy from the other team. Just a little veteran advice. I was told that. I was told that when I was young. We got into it. The Marlins, we had a big brawl. They said, hey, man, what are you doing? You go grab me and somebody hits me, then what we got? So always go grab one of their guys. Just a little veteran tip. I'm just saying. It made sense to me. It made sense.
Tell me about the possibility of the brothers who own the Phoenix Suns. Ishbia, I think, is how you pronounce it.
But don't they own a piece of the White Sox, so they can't buy the Twins also? I thought don't they own a small piece of the White Sox too?
Sell it off. They can sell it off.
They are. Right. I think in 2021 they together bought, I don't know what percentage, but a minority stake in the White Sox, which I'm assuming is a small percentage. So yeah, they'd have to sell that off. I mean, I had heard rumors that they might be, I mean, they're Chicago guys, so I'm sure they would theoretically prefer to buy the White Sox, but I don't know that
I've heard that rumor.
Yeah.
Reinsdorf is not ready, but I've heard that rumor. That's why I remember when Reinsdorf said, "Make me an offer." That's who he was talking to.
Really?
Yes, because he knows they have the money and they have the want to. But now, if he's not going to sell, they probably don't want to wait around. They're like, "Oh, we can get the Twins now, probably for cheaper, new stadium, better team. Let's take them. See what happens."
I agree.
Yeah, and they've been publicly linked. My partner at The Athletic, Dana Hayes, had a good report a couple weeks ago linking them, their involvement. He's since reported that there are some other parties involved, and he's the one who had the report last week that there's some optimism that the sale is progressing and it could be around opening day. That is really what Twins fans are hanging their hat on right now. It's been a lot of frustration on the field, off the field, ownership-wise, lack of moves. There's this hope that kind of looms over everything now that somebody's going to come in here and hopefully be willing to spend. And if it's someone like the Ishbias or them, as AJ said, they not only are willing to spend, but they clearly want to win. They value winning over trying to squeeze out every dollar from the bottom line. But until that goes through, the conversations surrounding the Twins are, the ones that we're having right now.
It's the Inside Scoop with FT Senior Insider Ken Rosenthal, and it is a big Friday potentially. Ken, great to have you on. I want to get right to the Blue Jays as a whole because they seem to be kind of at the epicenter of what's going on here, including their Roki Sasaki pursuit. What did you think of them acquiring some extra international bonus money today?
It's very interesting, to say the least. They acquired $2 million, and that brings their pool number to over $8 million. Now, there are a couple of things we have to keep in mind here. They could be doing that because they are going to get Sasaki and they are just planning for that, and they believe that they're the team that is going to win here. They also could be doing it because they fear they're going to lose Sasaki and they're trying to make a last-ditch attempt to show him, hey, we're serious. We want you. We just made this trade and took on Miles Straw, a guy with a .625 career OPS, so we can get more money for you. There are all kinds of ways to interpret it, and it remains to be seen what's going to happen here. I don't know, guys. I don't know that anyone in the industry knows for sure, but the Blue Jays, as you mentioned, Scott, they've been aggressive in recent days, not just with Sasaki, but with free agents as well. It's all coming to a head. I don't know if it's today, but certainly the actions of the Blue Jays indicate that things are moving and that, yes, we could see an outcome sometime soon.
So do you take this along with the Padres actually signing one of their international prospects to mean that this could be down to just the Dodgers and the Blue Jays now?
It could be interpreted that way, for sure. If that indeed is what the Padres are thinking. Now, is it conceivable in our world of possibilities that what the Padres are doing are signing some of these guys and they're also going to trade for more money and give Sasaki that money, and Sasaki wants to go there anyway and he really doesn't care about what the money is? That's something where we say there's a non-zero chance of that happening. I don't believe it's necessarily going to happen. I believe the right assumption is, hey, they seem to be taking actions to protect themselves in the event they lose Sasaki. But again, guys, there's all kinds of ways to speculate here. As a reporter, I don't like to speculate at all. I can only go by what is happening. And what is happening with the Padres is one of those two things. And more likely it would seem being the key word here, that yes, they are prepared to lose Sasaki.
If Sasaki goes to the Dodgers, where everybody feels like he's had, his mind made up, and Joe Wolf's had his mind made up, what's the process? Is Major League Baseball doing their own investigation to investigate their own teams? Or do the Blue Jays or the Padres have to come up with damning evidence against the Dodgers for having made a signing deal before this and like going outside of the realm, or is this something that will just go away?
Well, there has to be a basis for an investigation. So I imagine whether it's from the Blue Jays, the Padres, some other club, some unseen force, that MLB would not act unless they suspected with some degree of understanding that something nefarious had gone on here. Now, it's one thing to accuse people of doing things, as happens on X and every other social media site every day. It's one thing to spout your conspiracy theories, and it's another thing to actually have evidence and prove it. Now, is it possible? Yes, it's possible that MLB will take a look at this if teams and others raise questions that MLB finds legitimate. But we're not going to have an investigation simply because people are ticked off they didn't get their player. And that goes not just for the Dodgers. It goes for the Blue Jays. It goes for the Padres and anybody else. There has to be a reason to investigate to actually have something like that take place.
You broke the news the other day about the Dodgers meeting involving players. How much do you think that impacts a situation like this? It sounded like the Padres were able to do that too. You didn't have players involved in the first part of the process. We actually learned yesterday on our show that Tyler Glasnow got at least a couple minutes on the phone with him to try and state his case too.
I don't know. And one of the mysteries here, and it almost reminds me of Soto and even Ohtani, we don't know the player's true motives. We don't know the player's true desires. Now, Sasaki is different than those two guys. He's younger, for one thing. He's described as quiet and reserved and sensitive. And what he truly wants out of this, whether it's this kind of city or this kind of pitching program or this kind of team, that's not exactly clear. And that's one of the reasons this is such a fascinating process. So when he meets star players from the Dodgers, star players from the Padres. He knows Darvish already, of course, and he probably knows Ohtani and Yamamoto. How much of an impact does that have? I would guess in this process, it's probably minimal. But at the same time, the teams are going to put their best feet forward, and that's what they've done throughout here. They've made every attempt. So if you're the Dodgers and you've got these superstar players, why wouldn't you invite them and try to woo the kid and impress him and knock him out in that sense? And same goes for the Padres and maybe even the Blue Jays too.
Do you see any, because this is a very unique situation, a superstar that's under, different regulations and free agency, and the league wants to make everybody equal. They want to have equal opportunity for everybody. Do you see the league in the next CBA or even the Players Association changing this process? If so, what would change in the sense that how could it be changed? So, because we're always looking for equality in the league.
Erik, sorry to start rolling my eyes when you asked that question. I wasn't rolling my eyes at you.
I've seen the comments.
No, he was.
I've seen the comments, Ken.
No.
I was rolling my eyes because this is kind of the question here.
Yeah.
Question number one. Why is a 23-year-old kid who's pitched professionally in Japan in the same pool of players as 16-year-olds from Latin America who have never played professionally? It's kind of weird, right? Now, MLB is going to welcome all these questions. They're going to welcome all of this. They don't even mind the chaos of kids getting shafted out of deals because a team might sign Sasaki, because guess what? This strengthens their case, so they think, for an international draft. And that is what MLB has been driving for in the past several collective bargaining negotiations. It's what they want. And if this gets them there, or helps get them there, because there's a controversy and there's discord over what happened here, MLB will be delighted. Would that be a fairer process for all? That's the question here. And the international draft, we could do a 2-hour show on it. I don't know how many people would watch, but we could do a show with all the intricacies of that. The player side believes that, hey, it's not a free market in that way. It's restricted, it's slotted in the way that it is now, but in a different kind of form. And they don't like that. They don't like the players not having the choice. So I don't know what is going to come out of this, Erik, but I do expect the conversation to continue. I've written about it for a couple of years now, this quandary that they're in with international draft versus non-international draft. Is it really going to clean up the system in Latin America if you have that draft? There's a debate over that. So again, we could talk a long time about this, and I expect we will be after this process is over.
Skipping over to Pete Alonso here a little bit. We talked about this earlier in the show. Mets seem to have moved on. I don't, in my opinion, that could have been said, but in the back of their minds, I feel like they still do want Pete. I feel like it's the right move. I know now Toronto's back in the mix of talking. A couple things. Is there any other teams you think that are involved in Pete Alonso? Do you think he's going to get the money he deserves by one of these teams? And, talk about what you and Will Salmon said on it. You guys have been doing a great job about these articles. Talk a little bit about this situation and where you see this directing towards.
Todd, I'm not convinced the Mets want Pete. And the reason I say that is because of their offer. 3 years, 68 to 70 million, as Joel Sherman first reported in the New York Post. That's not an offer he was going to take, and they know that. So my feeling is they are ready to move on. And that's what you've been hearing. That's what people have been writing, like myself and others. And it seems to me that I don't know that they ever really wanted Pete, because if they did, they could have made an offer that would have obviously been more persuasive to him. Now, the Jays reported this yesterday, and they are in on Pete Alonso. And I've heard that there's one other team in, but I don't know who that team is. I know how people get crazy when we start talking about mystery teams, but the Blue Jays are not a mystery team on Alonso. And in addition, what we reported was if they sign Pete Alonso, they're not trading Vladimir Guerrero Jr., or at least that's not the intent. They're still negotiating or trying to negotiate with Guerrero, though they haven't talked to him in a while. Those talks will accelerate again before his self-imposed deadline when the first position player workout takes place. That's February 18th for the Jays. So the Jays have been trying for 2 years now to make their team as strong as possible. They're desperate to sign a big free agent. They struck out on Ohtani, struck out on Soto. They're still trying, struck out on Corbin Burns. Alonso would be an intriguing guy for them. Guerrero could play third. He wants to play third. You could DH both those guys. So there's a fit there. Whether it gets done or not, I don't know. But that is real. The other team, whoever that might be, I don't know. But I always caution people, teams come out of nowhere in free agency often. The Jays came out of nowhere on Sasaki. They came out of nowhere on Alonso. So would it shock me if a team was lurking on Alonso and ready to come out of nowhere? No, that would not shock me in the least.
Oh, the Mariners are lurking. I love that. I know Ken didn't say it. I would love that they were
I didn't
lurking.
say it, and they've not shown, Erik, they have not shown any indication that they are willing to spend that kind of money. Now, maybe if they made a trade or two, okay, but that's not where they are.
Yeah, no, they're not doing that. Back to money, though, on the team. You talk about moving Vladdy to third base. This is his walk year. What kind of money is it possible? I think you wrote about it, about how Vladdy's possibly needs to be looking in the Soto range. Maybe a little less, but if he moves to third, you can't demean your value because now all of a sudden you're a brutal defensive player just because you moved a new position.
It's interesting, Erik, that my immediate thought when I heard, move Vladdy to third was, whoa, he's not going to want to do that in his walk year. But Shai Davidi of Sportsnet wrote an article in last September, in which Guerrero basically said, I want to go there. That's my home, third base. And if you think about it, as long as he has the desire and proves he can play it at even a competent level, that only increases his value because that is a more valuable defensive position on the defensive spectrum. And it would kind of put him in a better place. Now, he's not getting Soto. He's not getting anywhere near Soto. But because of Soto, he is now going to look at things, I'm sure is looking at things a little differently. 765 is sitting out there. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is scheduled to hit free agency at only 1 year older than Soto. And why did Soto get that money? He's great, of course, but he also got it because he's entering his age 26 season. Guerrero will be entering his age 27 season. He's the same kind of young talent and hitting savant, not quite as good as Soto, but an outstanding player that teams want because of the age question, because they get those prime years and then they get him into his early 30s when he's still really good and they're all set. So he's sitting pretty right now. Now, whether the Jays give him that money or whether he waits for it, that remains to be seen.
Okay, well, I cannot wait for Fair Territory on Monday. You might have a lot to break down. Otherwise, hey, there is still a lot of speculation here around a team like this. Just want to finish with this as we're a minute away from end of show. Ken, thanks for being part of show number 500 and for being what some call the adult in the room on Foul Territory at times.
I don't know about that, but congratulations to you guys, man. 500, big number.
It's a lot of shows.
Erik's killing here.
Yes.
You're our biggest
Erik's
guest, Ken.
5 days a week. He is.
That was great.
Longest
go.
time. He's our biggest name. Come on, don't do
Oh,
that. I'm not
please.
AJ. I don't go there with Ken.
Thank goodness.
No, that's right. Yeah, this is
Even though Ken eye rolled me. 500 episodes is the first eye roll I get with Ken. It's fine.
He eye rolled
I made a point right away to say I was not eye rolling you because I wasn't. I was eye rolling the issue, which is a massive eye roll.
Thank you. Ken, enjoy the weekend if you can. We will talk to you or hear from you on Monday's Fair Territory.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. That's Ken Rosenthal, FT Senior Insider. Obviously, we had a lot to cover, so we went right up to the end of the show. Todd, Father, everyone wants to play third base. It's easy, right?
It is. Hey, Kratzy could have done it. You could do it. No, it is. It's a hard spot. It's a hard spot to master. It took me a while to master that. I still have learning to do, and I'm not even playing anymore.
Secret team, I think, for Pete should be the Washington Nationals. Oh, Danny Jansen sent us his freaking pants ripper. Oh, man. We're going to have to edit that for TV.
Wow.
This is a kid's show on TV.
It's all
again,
good.
Congrats, everyone.
All
yes,
clean.
Exactly. It is clean. It is clean. Take that for what it is. Show number 500. Congrats, everyone. Hope you enjoyed it. We're going to keep doing this every single day. Look out for any breaking news. We'll pop on, hopefully, when Roki signs, unless it's at 2 in the morning.